Hey guys, how you doing? Will here back for another fight card. Some may know me as Big Will 7 MMA on Twitter. Some might just know me as Will through the videos here. But to say thank you for coming and watching the video. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who watched my UFC 163 prediction video. My biggest views on the video yet. Everything's pretty positive about it. So thank you very much. I very much appreciate you taking your time to watch my video and comment and like and share and everything. So thank you very much. It means a lot. Thank you. But we're back for a fight card this weekend after UFC 163, which was a really solid card. I love the main event, the main card. Sorry. Some great fights. I love watching Mutante. I think he's going to be. I think he could be a real handful in the UFC middleweight division. Uh, Looked very good against Thiago Santos, who I think might be quite dangerous as well in that division. And then we had like Jose Aldo, um, who and against the Korean Zombie, which that fight was actually starting to warm up when the Zombie looked like he separated his shoulder and he's hurt himself fairly badly. Hopefully the Zombie's back quick because he is one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC. They have as well. But and there was the decision between Lyoto Machida and Phil Davis, which um, Lyoto Machida should have won that fight, absolutely no doubt about it. But he's been in that situation before as Lyoto Machida, specifically against Rampage Jackson. You would have thought he would have changed his style a little bit, but he hasn't, and he'll have to go back to Lyoto Machida to get himself back up the rankings again if he doesn't want to drop to middleweight. But as I say, that was last week. A great card in Brazil as per usual. We're back in the States, in one of the greatest cities in America, I think. I've only been there once, but the hospitality was second to none. And that's Boston, Massachusetts, at the TD Garden for UFC on Fox One. It's the start of a brand new channel in America, which is going to be huge, and it's starting with the UFC, which is huge for the UFC. They're putting all the time into this, and it's being headlined by a light heavyweight bout between Mauricio Shogun, who are the former UFC and Pride champion, against Chael Sonnen, who's talking's obviously got him into another big fight here, replacing. I think he was originally supposed to face Big Nog, Little Nog, sorry, and he got injured. And then Shogun, who it all kind of came from UFC 161, where Sonnen couldn't kind of get a visa sorted out to get into Canada to fight, so they've moved it to Boston here. A really solid card. In America, they're doing, I think it's 5 hours. They're doing the prelims and the main card all free. So this is the American people that are watching this. You're in for a treat. I see we'll be able to catch most of this on our TV over here in the Britain as well. So we're going to go all the way at the start of the card. And it starts in the lightweight division between a couple of former Ultimate Fighter participants. It's Ramsey Nijem against James Vick. Now, James Vick's only 4-0, fifth professional fight. He beat Joe Proctor on the show, and he got beat by Michael Chiesa, got knocked out on the show. Looked very promising on the show, I must admit. And he's a very tall lightweight, a big lightweight. You can see, very rangy, so he's going to have a lot of kind of that, a lot of the range over Nijem here. Nijem's the wrestler. He's coming into this. I think he's coming off a loss, maybe getting knocked out by Miles Jury away back at UFC on Fox in April when it was Henderson v Melendez. And before that, he beat Joe Proctor, beat CJ Keith, and beat Danny Downs in the UFC after losing to Tony Ferguson in the final. Tough fight to call. I think I'm going to go with Ramsey Nijem, sorry, by decision. I think it's going to go all the way. I can't see any fighter. If anybody's going to get the stoppage, it's going to be James Vick here, but I'm going to go Ramsey Nijem by decision. Next up, we're in the light heavyweight division with Cody Donovan against Ovince St. Preux. Cody Donovan fights out of the Grudge team in Denver, Colorado. I haven't seen much on it for. I've seen him in Bellator a couple of years back now. I remember watching that show. It's 8-2 record. He's fought once in the UFC. He fought in December last year in Australia, where he defeated Nick Penner by TKO in the first round of that fight. He's against Ovin St. Preux, who he was on a bit of a roll in the Strike Force before losing to Gegard Mousasi, who is one of the best in lightweight and the middleweight division, light heavyweight, sorry, and the middleweight division. Coming off a win at UFC 159, a really bad fight with Gian Vellante, where he won by a technical decision because he poked him in the eye and got the decision over him. But wins over TJ Cook, Abongo Humphrey, Bendy Radic way back in the day, and Antoine Britt in Strikeforce. I like St. Preux in this fight. I think he can. I think he can finish the fight here. So I'm going to go with Ovince St. Preux by knockout second round. One of my favourites, the second round there. So featherweight division, Manny Gamburian, who probably have Ronda Rousey in his corner against Cole Miller. Never been a big Cole Miller fan. Very, very good on the ground. As I say, very, very sound on the ground. Not the best on his feet, but when it goes to the ground, he's very, very inventive with his submissions. Coming off a win over Bart Palachewski way back in April. Before that, it was a couple of losses to Nam Phan and Steven Siler. Manny Gamburian, he's been around for years. He was away back in Ultimate Fighter when Nate Diaz won. He's kind of fought the who's who, really, of the featherweight division, from Jose Aldo, Tyson Griffin, Diego Nunes, let's see who else. Nate Diaz. He fought Santiago way back in the day where he won. But he's coming off a win over Michihiro Omagawa way back in August last year. So he's been out a full year. So it's a long, long, long time for Manny Gamburian to be out. I think he had a bad injury as well. Before that, it was 3 losses to Diego Nunes, Tyson Griffin, and Jose Aldo. I'm going to go for Manny Gamburian just for the fact that I'm not a big Cole Miller fan. Very, very talented on the ground. But it's just, I hope Manny gets the win here. Next up, we move into the preliminary card. It's Diego Brandao, the former TUF winner, coming off a win over Pablo Garza in Sweden with a beautiful submission against Daniel Pineda, who fights out the pit in Utah. No, I'm wrong. He fights out of Houston. I'm thinking of the wrong guy. He's coming off a Kimura win over Justin Lawrence at the Ultimate Fighter finale in Las Vegas. A beautiful submission there of Justin Lawrence. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I think Diego Brandao will win this fight by pretty much any way he wants to. But I'm going to go by a knockout in the first. Next up, we've got Mike Brown against Steven Siler. Now, Mike Brown's a former featherweight WC champ. He's won his last 2 fights. He was kind of contemplating retirement after his last fight over Daniel Pineda, where he won by decision. He won the decision before that against Nam Phan. A pretty exciting fight at UFC 133. But he's came back after a full year out, year and a bit, 15 months or so. And he's back to face Steven Siler, who's a guy he's very, very quiet in the division, but he has a lot of really, really, really good fights. His last time out against Kurt Holloway was a really, really good fight at UFC 159 as well. Before that, this is the guy that fights out of pit, by the way. This is the guy that was in my head. So he lost to Darren Elkins with wins before that over Joey Gambino, Cole Miller, and Josh Clopton as well. I like the experience of Mike Brown here. I think he's going to get a decision all day long. But it could be quite a fun fight in this fight because, as I say, Steven Siler is a pretty exciting fighter to watch as well. But Mike Brown, unanimous decision. Next up, we've got the notorious Conor McGregor against Max Blessed Holloway. Now, this is one of the fights I'm most looking forward to seeing. Conor McGregor has made a big name for himself in the UFC. The former Cage Warriors lightweight and featherweight champion. His knockout of Marcus Brimage was spectacular and stupidly, very, very stupidly, and I've watched Conor McGregor for a few years. I picked against him. I thought the UFC jitters would get to him. Not in the slightest. He absolutely blew Marcus Brimage out of the water and did it with ease as well, and he looked impressive, and he seems to be Dana White's kind of new guy. He's going to bring the UFC to Dublin next year because of this guy. He's just a beast on his feet, and he's very aggressive, and he's just a top fighter to watch, and he's going to be a big threat, I think, in the featherweight division. Against Max Holloway, who is another guy, this is a tough fight. He was supposed to face Andy Ogle. He got injured. He's got to step up in competition, in my opinion, here against Max Holloway, who's coming off a loss to Dennis Bermudez, which he probably should have won, if I'm being honest with you. Wins before that over Justin Lawrence and Leonard Garcia as well. See, this is a I like both guys. I like Holloway. He's a young fighter. He comes in, he gives all. He's very crisp on his feet, good on the ground. But I just think Conor McGregor's on a roll after that knockout in Sweden earlier on in the year, and I think he can knock out Max Holloway here as well. I think it's Conor McGregor all day in this fight, all day, by knockout, and if not, I think he'll get a very clear decision if it goes there. But I'm going to go with a second round knockout win for Conor McGregor. Next up, another unbelievable fight here. Brad Pickett, never in a boring fight, against Michael McDonald, who is coming off his title fight at UFC in London this year, and a kind of good performance. He'll learn a lot from that fight in London against Henan Barrow. He was on a roll before that with some wins, but Brad Pickett is never in a boring fight, and his class of fighter that he's fought in the last 7-8 fights has been pretty solid. As I say, he's lost 3 fights in the 8 fights, but he's won the 5, and these wins are over really good fighters. Demetrius Johnson, the flyweight champ, Ivan Menjivar, a win there, Damasio Page, Yves Dubrain, and a very good decision over Mike Easton, a split decision which he deserved, with losses coming to really top fighters as well. Scott Jorgensen, Henan Barrow, and Eddie Wineland. So he fights top fighters, and he's always in exciting fights. So he is. Michael McDonald. I like Michael McDonald in this fight. I just think Pickett's great, no doubt about it, but I just think Michael McDonald, he's a star of that division, and that fight with Henan Barrow is only going to make him stronger, I believe. So I'm going to go. I think it's going to be another decision win for Michael McDonald. On the main card, we've got the always amazing Joe Lozon. You watch his fights, it's guaranteed he's going to get a bonus at the end of it every time. He's against Michael Johnson here. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Blackzilians, never have been, never been the biggest fan of Michael Johnson either. And he got submitted in Sweden by Reza Madadi. Very good in his feet, Johnson. He's crispy, knocked out Danny Castillo, so I'll always like him for that. But say Joe Lozon is a beast when it goes to the ground. He's just very aggressive. He'll go everywhere. He was I think it was probably one of the fights of the year alongside Dustin Poirier and Chan Sung Jung last year when he faced Jim Miller. It was an unbelievable fight, UFC 155, which he lost out on, but it was an unbelievable fight. This is a fight that I think Joe Lozon will get him to the ground. If Reza Madadi can submit Michael Johnson, Joe Lozon can definitely do it, and I think he'll do it in the first round as well. Next up, middleweights, Uriah Hall against the returning John Howard. Uriah Hall was a beast and Ultimate Fighter, no doubt about it. He made the season pretty much. He's a very talented kid. He faced Chris Weidman back in the day in Rings of Combat, but he just got, I think, a bit too big for his boots against Kelvin Gastelum, and Gastelum just took him down and just outgrinded him, and Gastelum just deserved it. But Uriah Hall's going to be a star in the UFC if he gets the right matchups. And he's against the returning John Howard here, who's fought. He got released by the UFC away back in June of 2011, and since then he has had 7 fights, which he's won 6. So he's been very active, very active on the independent circuit. Sorry, but Uriah Hall is a beast on his feet. We've seen what he did to Adam Sela. Knockout of the season without a doubt. Just a beast. People were scared to kind of get in there because of what this guy was doing. This is a tough fight for him, but if John Howard stands on his feet with this guy, I think Uriah Hall is knocking him out because he's got power, speed, and everything like that. It hurts. So I'm going to go Uriah Hall by knockout early, first round. Next up, welterweights, Matt Brown against Mike Pyle. This was supposed to be Thiago Alves in this. I was looking forward to this, but Alves got hurt. But Mike Brown's on a 5-fight win streak. Victories over Chris Cope, Stephen Thompson, Luis Ramos, Mike Swick, Jordan Mayen. He looked very good in that last fight against Jordan Mayen, who's an up-and-comer. He'll be around for a long time, and he's knocking people out as well. And he's very dangerous. He's very, very scrappy. He grinds for everything, and he's a really, really tough guy to fight. But he's got a really good opponent here, Mike Pyle, who's won his last few fights. His last fight against Rick Story wasn't great, but he got through and he got the win, which was probably a bit controversial. But he's on a 4-fight win streak, and he's won 7 of his last 8 fights as well, all in the UFC. So tough fight. If it goes to the ground, I think that Mike Pyle will get a submission victory. I think he'll catch something. But if it stays on the feet, I think Matt Brown can knock him out. So I think that this is a toss-up for me. I'm thinking Mike Pyle. I'm kind of strong on Mike Pyle, but I'm going to go with Matt Brown by decision. Next up, Uriah Faber against Yuri Alcantara. This was a weird match when I heard it. Alcantara's a decent fighter. Uriah Faber is one of the best in the bantamweight division. He's been one of the best in the lower weight classes for years. I like Faber in this fight big time. Alcantara hasn't faced the opponents that the level of Uriah Faber. Faber's coming off a win over Scott Jorgensen by submission. Before that, another great submission of Ivan Menjivar. Before that, lost to Barao, beat Brian Bowles by submission. So if this goes to the ground, I know Alcantara's a black belt, BJJ black belt. This is not going to be a good night for Alcantara. I say Alcantara thinks coming off a win over Eliade Santos, who fought in Brazil last week. I think Uriah Faber by submission in this all day, and I think he'll get it in the first round as well. Next up, the heavyweights co-main event: Alistair Overeem against Travis Brown. Not the biggest Alistair Overeem fan. Respect his talents. He went out of the world of MMA, went into K1, won their Grand Prix. He's a beast on his feet, but last time out he got his clock rocked by Antonio Bigfoot Silva, and he was winning that fight after 2 rounds as well. I don't think I've shouted as much as I did when I watched that fight. It was an unbelievable fight, an unbelievable just 30 seconds of the 3rd round to watch, where Bigfoot Silva hit him with a barrage of punches that just nearly took his head off. It was fucking sick to see, but awesome at the same time. And he's against Travis Brown here, who's one of the kind of real tough guys in the heavyweight division, who's making strides. He lost to Antonio Silva. I think he hurt his leg in that fight and then got knocked out. But he's back after a minute at UFC, the Ultimate Finale, Tough Fighter Finale in Las Vegas, where he knocked out Gabriel Gonzaga in about 70 seconds with elbows, which was, it was a horrid knockout as well. Very, very gruesome knockout, but it was, as I say, great to see again. I like Travis Brown in this fight. I think he's going to knock out Alistair Overeem again, but Alistair Overeem can definitely knock out Travis Brown. So hopefully this can be a stand-up war. If it kind of stays in the feet, Brown likes to throw kicks as well. Overeem's better with his kicks, but I just think Travis Brown is going to catch Alistair Overeem with something and knock him clean out. So Travis Brown knockout, 2nd round. But if it goes to the ground, I think Overeem might just have a little bit of advantage as well. So I'm going to go Travis Brown just. And next up, the main event: Mauricio Shogun Rua, Chael Sonnen. I've got a friend named Kyle. Kyle Chris MMA makes great videos. He's broke this down absolutely perfect. If this stands on the feet, it's Mauricio Shogun Rua's all day. But if he can stop the double leg of Chael Sonnen, then he will win the fight. But if Chael Sonnen gets him to the ground, I think Chael Sonnen he could potentially stop Mauricio Rua. Maybe. It's very, very close, this fight. I think it's quite an interesting fight to watch. I like Mauricio Rua. I think he's just going to have enough here. He's training with Freddie Roach, so his striking's going to be on point. It's going to be crisp. He's coming off a loss to Alexander Gustafsson, but his cardio is bad. I think this is a 5-round fight as well. If this goes into later rounds, Chael Sonnen I think is going to eat him alive. Chael Sonnen's coming off a loss to the great John Jones, one of the best ever, one of my favourites as well. And he's kind of lost his last couple of fights, but they have been the 2 probably best guys in MMA, in John Jones and Anderson Silva. Tough fight to pick. I'm not sure about this. I think I'm going to go just Mauricio Rua. not by a hell of a lot though. But I think it could be a good fight. I think it could be back and forth on the feet, down on the mat as well. So I'm going to go Mauricio Hua by this late knockout, fourth round if it goes there. So say that's my picks for the big card in America. I hope you all enjoy it. This is for next week, the 17th of August, and then we've got a first like UFC fight card, which is going to be on a Wednesday night, which is going to be pretty hard for us in Britain to watch because I'll be working at 6 o'clock the next morning, but I might just stay up all night and watch it. Where it's headlined by Carlos Condit, the rematch against Martin Kampmann, and a very solid card from Indianapolis. And then we're on to UFC 164, which I'm pumped for because two of my favourite fighters are on there, on Anthony Showtime Pettis and Dustin the Diamond Poirier. So as I say, thank you for watching my video. Share this, tell me your picks as well. I will be back for the Condit Kampmann fight. I'll have a video out maybe next week after this fight. It's just happened. Come follow me on Twitter, BigWillis7MMA, and I'd say thank you very much again for watching my video. It was very much appreciated. Enjoy the fights next week in Boston, and I'll be back soon. Thank you.